Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and before we get to our guest for today's show, I just want to call your attention to the music that you're hearing behind my voice right now. It's the brand new KCCK Culture Crawl theme. I have to give credit to our producer, Lydia Kilgore, who came to me some months ago and said, you know, the Culture Crawl should have some theme music. And so I reached out to one of our favorite young musicians, Vivian Shanley, who literally grew up doing KCCK's programs like Jazz Band Camp, Corridor Jazz Project, First Friday Jazz, Jazz Into the Stars, and asked her if she would like to compose a theme for the show. And she did. She performs on it along with Lydia on voice, Sam Ross on tenor sax, Anna Cook on guitar, and Louis Clayman on the drums. It was produced by Paul Salamone. You're going to be hearing it often at the beginning and ending of our show, and I'm just really grateful to Lydia for the idea and Vivian for the great music. And now, on with the Culture Crawl. Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the upcoming Riverside Theatre production of Scalia-Ginsburg. Artistic director Adam Knight is with us. Adam, welcome.
Hey, great to be here.
Nice to see you. And first-time guest, but not first-time collaborator for Adam in any way, shape, or form, is cast member Mary Jane Knight.
Yes.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Excited to hear about this show, which is it's unusual in a lot of ways for Riverside, beginning with the fact that it's an opera.
It is a straight-up opera, and one of the things I love about Riverside is that we tell compelling stories in an intimate space. And this story just really spoke to me. It's the story of these two titans of the Supreme Court, Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And it's told through the frame of the art form that they loved. It was really the basis of their lifelong friendship, which is that they both loved opera. And so the composer Derrick Wang has found this ingenious way to describe not only their friendship, but also their jurisprudence within the space of an hour in this English language opera. And not only is it an English language opera, but it's an opera with a 7-piece orchestra told in our 150-seat theater. So it is quite a large-scale event told in a very small box.
For those who don't know and who have this vision of the Supreme Court as as warring factions, because that's always how it's portrayed in the media. The liberal, the liberal arm of the conservative arm, did this or said this. The dissenting opinion and all of that. But behind all of that was this great friendship between two people who were completely opposite on the ideological spectrum.
And heroes on their respective sides of the spectrum. And the fact that they could find common ground speaks to, I think, a deeper connection and a deeper belief in these institutions that so often we're afraid are collapsing.
Mary Jane, you sing the role of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
It's a great honor.
Which in some ways, which in some ways got to kind of feel like the role of a lifetime, I'm guessing, even
Definitely.
Though this show it's not like the show has been around your whole lifetime, but getting to portray this person.
No, she's an incredible hero for all of us, no matter what gender we are, but specifically for American women, she has given us all a voice. And here is this wonderful piece where I can lend my voice to her incredible legacy, which is a very reverent and deep challenge for me.
Were you familiar with the story and the relationship of these two jurists?
I knew it. I knew of this opera. I kind of had heard about it first, and I said, "Hey, Adam, this is just a 3-person opera and RBG. I mean, wow." What an incredible story that would be to tell about these two friends. What I love about it is that, we have these two Supreme Court justices and voiced in, the grandest form of art, opera, to kind of match that, grandness of what their careers had to be. But then we come into the opera, and what it starts with once they both come together is their friendship. And we see that intimate friendship and how they're able to argue out their opinions while still being great friends. My favorite part of the opera is when they come together and they sing this duet and they say, "We are different, we are one." And I believe that that is the essence of how we should all strive to live as human beings in this world.
Adam, this is a fairly. I'm guessing that this has to be a new production. Were you familiar with the composer playwright previously?
This show has had a few pretty major productions, but none in Iowa yet. In fact, Justice Ginsburg saw an early production of this, and she called it a dream come true. The composer, Derrick Wang, is, in addition to being a brilliant virtuoso, is also a constitutional lawyer. So there's a lot of legalese in this that I think is surprisingly accessible for the uninitiated among us. But any legal nerds are going to totally geek out by this. Yes. And we have a number of law firms supporting it, in addition to two lawyers, Matt Novak and Joanne Lillidahl, sponsoring. But in addition to that, there's a beautiful pastiche of music throughout. I mean, anyone who's watched Looney Tunes will get a lot of them, but then there's references to Handel, to Mozart, to Puccini. It's just throughout. Just reference after reference that music nerds are going to totally freak out about. Yeah. And then I think theater nerds are going to freak out about just the deep humanity of the story and the fact that the whole structure is essentially like a medieval morality play. And so there's just the Venn diagram of this is really interesting. And I think particularly in the corridor, where so many people have so many interests, it's going to really shine.
So something for all the nerds.
Something for all the nerds.
All of them.
So you mentioned that, there's a lot of legalese and constitutional terminology and stuff like that. And Mary Jane, I'm guessing...
I had to do a little research.
There were parts of that that it was kind of like learning Italian. Yes, it's English, but I still have to learn it phonetically, just almost like it was a foreign language. I didn't know what
certiorari was, the lower court, and I can't even remember. There's a few other terms. But what I absolutely love doing also is doing my research and really digging into the career of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because I get to sing an entire aria that pretty much she explains her work to fight the discriminatory laws of gender in the United States. And so I quote 5 to 6 different of the primary cases that she worked on that really turned the tide. So it's just this incredible, I call it feminine power aria, which by the end, I've claimed my place in the court.
For a lot of us, we, even after she ascended to the Supreme Court, we didn't realize just how integral she had been until that movie On the Basis of Sex came out.
Right.
Where we realized that, in the lower courts, she did so much work.
Yes.
That when she first became a jurist, a woman couldn't get a credit card without her husband's signature.
Yes. She had so much discrimination that she went up against, and every time, it started, if I don't go on too long, just you can quote me, but it started really with her mother, who was brilliant. Ruth said she was the most brilliant woman she knew, but her mother after high school, had to go to work to fund her brother's education. And then when she got married, she had to quit her job, even though she was very good at it, and her husband wasn't very good at his job, and so they had a lot of financial troubles. But somehow her mother saved away in 5 different bank accounts money so that Ruth could go to college. And that got her start, was her mother. But her mother also died when she was in high school. And so Ruth would take her studies and sit by her bedside and do them because she knew that's what her mother would want. But when she graduated from the top of her class at Harvard Law and still couldn't even get a job. Finally was able to get an academic job at Rutgers, So every time that she faced this discrimination, I think she took that and she used that to empower her work forward. every single time. So she was a workhorse. She learned how to work on only 2 hours of sleep during the weekdays, and she just really sacrificed so much for us, so that not even just women, but all genders could find equal footing. And really, what was also genius about her work was that she really started with finding laws that actually discriminated against men. One of her big, as you maybe even remember in that movie, one of her big cases was when she found a bachelor who was taking care of his mother full time, and in the law he couldn't take a tax credit because he hadn't been married and he wasn't a woman. And so that was kind of the first one that really started the ball rolling.
So equality for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, Scalia is, of course, the other main character in this. Tell me about how his character comes forth in this. And, how do we end up viewing him?
Well, he was at the vanguard of originalism, which is a belief that the Constitution should be viewed through the lens of what the founders intended. And so his aria is very different than Ruth's aria about his jurisprudence because it's very simple, right? The Constitution says nothing about this, so I dissent. And but what I think the opera does so beautifully, and the role of Scalia is played brilliantly by Fu Chin Gui, is that it shows Scalia's humanity. He has a beautiful aria about his father coming to America as an Italian immigrant, and how the structures that make up America provided a ladder or provided stairs for his father to succeed and to then allow him to succeed. And so as someone who has sometimes thought a little villainously about Scalia, it really humanizes him. And what you see is also just the deep love and respect that these two intellectual titans have for one another.
They got to be extras with the Metropolitan Opera. They did that together, and they even went shopping together.
Now, you mentioned that it's a 3-person show, so we've got Ginsburg, we've got Scalia. What's the third part?
Oh, there's a role called the commentator, who's a mysterious visitor, and he becomes something of a judge to these great judges. And I'm played by a very great bass baritone named Philip Lopez.
Fabulous voice.
And I should also mention that the piece is conducted by Michael Saker, who's the artistic director at Opera Montana, brilliant guest conductor who's done a lot of work also with Des Moines Metro Opera, and we're very lucky to have him here working with our amazing singers and our 7-piece orchestra.
And so for all this, you got 7-piece orchestra, big voices in kind of a small place. So how is that coming together?
I love that. I mean, I love nothing more than like big drama in this intimate way. And I think it's something that Riverside can uniquely provide. There's a lot of great opera offerings happening in the corridor lately. Opera's very hot right now. And I think that this production will kind of energize that vanguard that's already happening, but also provide a very unique vantage point for it. Riverside is a place of big drama, and having big drama in a small place is thrilling.
It's Scalia-Ginsburg opening, it's the 5th, right?
So the show runs September 5th through the 15th, Thursday through Saturday nights at 7:30, and then Sundays at 2 p.m.
Do you have any talkbacks or anything special surrounding it that people want to be at?
There is. This Sunday, the 8th, Professor Miriam Gilbert, is leading a talkback with the 3 cast members and conductor Michael Saker.
All right. Well, if you'd like more information, you can visit the Riverside Theatre website, which is
www.riversidetheater.org.
All right. Well, this just sounds like a blast. Ever since I saw this pop up on the schedule, I've been interested and excited to learn more about it. So, thank you both for being here.
Great to
You're
be
welcome.
with you.
Thank you.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley and performed by Vivian, Lydia Kilgore, Sam Ross, Anna Cook, and Louis Clayman. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.